Okay, so now we're going to get into soil origins and how exactly soil was made. So before getting into this lecture, I really want to focus on this man. He wasn't as young as you guys see in this photo right here, but his name is Vasily Dukhchayev, and he was a Russian scientist, and his name was actually the father of soil science. He was the first person to make a wide geographic investigation on soil sciences and actually the different soil types. Instead of conceiving soils as just something standing and with no background of it, he actually conceived the soil as more of a natural body with unique properties from a combination of the climate, living matter, parent material, relief, and also time. The second soil scientist that I really want to focus on is Hans Jenny, and he was really popular in the 1940s. He created that book. He was the author of The Factors of Soil Formation, and we're going to be getting into this more down the road on our lecture today. But he was a soil science, and his expert was on pedology, and that's the study of soil and the natural environment. And he particularly focused on the process of soil formation. So when we talk about soil formation, we must first ask ourselves, where exactly does soil start? And soil must first start with rock. So the three main types of rock that we're going to be focusing on today is sedimentary, igneous, and metamorphic rock. So the first one we're going to on is the sedimentary rock, and sedimentation is the process that causes these particles to settle in place. So sedimentary rock covers about 75% of the Earth's surface right now. So there are a few types of sedimentary rock that we're going to get into. The first one is clastic sedimentary rock, and that's mechanically weathered debris. This weathering and erosion are mainly caused by waves of bodies of water where the sediment is carried and compacted over time. Clastic sedimentary rock includes sandstone, breccia, siltstone, and shale. The second type of sedimentary rock is chemical. Chemical sedimentary rocks are dissolved materials that precipitate from solutions. Different chemical sedimentary rock includes chert, limestone, and halite. Now, organic sedimentary rock is created through the accumulation of plant and animal debris. Organic sedimentary rocks include coal, limestone, and oil shale. The second type of rock that we'll be discussing is called igneous rock. Igneous rock is formed through the cooling and solidification of magma or lava. The first type of igneous rock that we're going to be discussing is called intrusive igneous rock. Intrusive igneous rocks crystallize below the Earth's surface. Most intrusive igneous rocks have large, well-formed crystals on it. Intrusive igneous rocks include granite, diorite, gabbro, and pegmatite. Extrusive igneous rocks form when magma reaches the Earth's surface as in a volcano and cools quickly. Most extrusive rocks have very small crystals compared to intrusive igneous rock. Extrusive igneous rocks include basalt, obsidian, and pumice. The third type of rock that we're going to be discussing is metamorphic rock, and this is broken down into two. The first one that we're going to discuss is foliated metamorphic rock, and that is layered or banded in appearance. Foliated metamorphic rocks develop as a platy or sheet-like structure. Foliated metamorphic rock includes gneiss, phyllite, and slate. Non-foliated metamorphic rock does not have layers or a banded appearance. Non-foliated metamorphic rock includes marble, quartzite, and soapstone. Now we're going to get into discussion of two types of soil formations. The first is physical weathering, disintegration of rock, and the second is chemical weathering, and that's the altering chemistry of the rock. First, let's get into physical weathering. Physical weathering is broken up into two types, and that's thermal weathering and mechanical weathering. And thermal weathering, the expansion and contraction of the rock occurs, and that's caused usually by extreme temperature changes. If you want to use this example, when rocks are heated by either sunlight or fire, this can cause the rock to expand. That's the same as happening through thermal weathering. This expansion within the rock causes stress to the outer layers of the rock, which then cause their outer layers to peel off into thin sheets. And that's where like that exfoliation comes from. And mechanical weathering, this is the process of breaking those larger rocks into smaller ones mechanically. Temperature can also play an effect on these rocks because on like cool and hot days, it always causes things to expand and contract, just like we saw under the thermal weathering. And when this occurs, it causes the rocks to crack and break apart. Very similar to frost shattering. And shattering is a type of mechanical weathering where we see the breakdown of rock due to the expansion of ice. Shrinking and swelling also occurs, and this alters by heating and cooling that weakens the minerals, causing the rock to disintegrate. And then we get to biologicals, and this is really the plants and animals that can play a tool with this. And mechanical weathering, and plants and animals can fracture the rock and pry the rock apart, causing mechanical fracturing. You can think of, plant roots also doing this, specifically tree roots, because they're a lot thicker and can do more damage here. Forces like wind and water also move rock pieces, and they can mix with matter like sand to become sediment as well. So that falls under physical weathering with wind erosion and then also with water erosion. And lastly, we have frost wedging, which is a part of physical weathering, and this a form of this physical weathering that involves the repeated freezing and thawing, forcing it to wedge and break apart. Now, unlike mechanical weathering with chemical weathering is the erosion or disintegration of rocks um, through chemical reactions with water and different substances dissolved in it. Our main focuses for chemical weathering is through hydrolysis, carbonation, hydration, dissolution, and oxidation. Hydrolysis is the most important process in chemical weathering. And when hydrolysis occurs, the water molecule is actually breaking apart. And when this occurs, it's going to chemically combine with other minerals and brings about changes and creates new compounds. A nice way to remember this term is by remembering that the prefix hydro means water and the suffix lysis means to break down. Now, hydration occurs when water joins a crystalline structure. Hematite and ferrhydrate are created through this process.